Hey, what's up? Welcome to DGenEd. That's degenerative education, meaning none of this is financial advice. Just me having fun looking at charts. And so this is Crypto Corner Sat Stacker for Saturday, July 12th. Excited to go over the charts this week because, as you guys all know, it's been a pretty exciting week in the world of crypto. But before I get into the tickers, I'm going to be going over 19 different cryptocurrencies. Did just want to give a quick overview of my thesis here, which is something that I have been developing for myself. I'm really just making these videos for myself. Hopefully they are helpful for you. And so this thesis really kind of started about around Easter, or ETHster as I like to call it, because I realized at the time, this is an older screenshot, but I realized at the time, at the end of April, that 1400 might have been the bottom for Ethereum. And, just following this little breakdown of the yellow line, it came down to the green intersection there. And so I started to make these weekly videos, and I've just been really bullish on ETH, as everybody has really just been trashing it. And also, I should note too that kind of a deeper dive into my thesis and some details that I will go over very briefly in just a second, but those can also be found in the description of this video, along with the link to this ETHster video, but to my most recent Crypto Corner Sat Stacker that I did go over my thesis in detail. So maybe that's of use to you, maybe it's not. I am going to try to keep this video down to an hour, but I suspect that won't be happening. There will be timestamps to all of the tickers down below, so you can skip ahead to the ones you like if you prefer. But basically what I'm going to be doing in this video is just going over my averages based on not the number of coins that I hold, but just what my average fill is, see if I'm up or down, and I kind of track that and have been tracking that effectively since Easter. I will be doing, basically levels that I think the different coins could be dipping to. There could be nice opportunities to add at based on Fibonacci retracements. And then I will also be doing Fibonacci extensions, trying to identify levels that the coins could be going to. And I suspect that the extensions will probably be more useful this week with crypto breaking out. But anyways, rather than having a meme for this week, I included this screenshot of Bo Hines, who's the executive director of the Committee on Digital Assets for the president, something like that. And he just said, huge week ahead. So I wanted to point that out, that, it's crypto week in the White House. And so that is in regards to the Genius bill heads to the president's desk. Clarity, which is the market clarity for crypto, moves to the Senate, and time to make America the crypto capital of the world. And this was sent and edited at looks like 12:47, might be Midwest time where I'm at, and that is from July 11th, so yesterday. And so I wonder if there might be some announcement of how the U.S. is going to be maybe selling some gold to buy Bitcoin, or something like that. No cost to the taxpayer methods of accumulating Bitcoin. I wonder if some of them will be announced. But then anyway, just coming up here to this thesis, I will go over this, or I did go over this in detail in that link to the in the description of the video if you do want more details on this. But one thing, two things actually that I did want to note. One is that as far as savings goes, I have been using Ally, which is a 3.6% annual percentage yield. But I just realized, but I just recognized that for some of the cryptos that I do buy on a weekly basis, I do use Coinbase, and rather than having cash in Ally that then has to be transferred into, whatever accounts to buy whatever cryptos, I could just have some cash stored as USDC in Coinbase for a 4.1% APY. I do believe this is a little bit more risky because it is not USDIC insured or whatever that is, FDIC insured. And so I think it's better to have less money in there than, in a FDIC insured savings account. But did just want to throw that out. I'm probably going to be utilizing that USDC percentage yield that Coinbase offers a little bit more moving forward. And also, I was just looking at this and I realized, the zero APR that I could extend, that was really for, if I wanted to take advantage of some really nice dips, like Ethereum down to 1,400, like Bitcoin recently down to sub 100,000. And, I didn't, FOMO in by moving cash from what is effectively debt that's in my savings account into buying those dips, which I kind of regret. But at the same time, the whole idea of this thesis is for no more FOMO. I did buy some dips more aggressively. I did have some dip buys, definitely doing more than 500 a week. So I'm feeling pretty good about that. The whole idea for documenting this is to not FOMO. I don't want to be buying the top, or if I am buying the top, do it in a way that's DCAing. And I have to admit, I did buy the top in Bitcoin this morning, but that's something that I do every single day, which I will be going over now as I get on to the different tickers. And so here is the list of them. I'm just going to give a brief overview from some of the levels that I had. From last week, some of the orders, the dip, buy, and or trim levels did get filled. So I did want to go over those. I'm actually just going to have Ed step out of the way for a second so you can see that full list. Some of them moved up, but really those moved up because others moved down. So I will go over that in just a second, and then I will go through this list in detail, ticker by ticker. But just to note at the top, the last time Bitcoin dipped to sub $100,000, I bought at $101,000. I didn't think it'd be going below 100,000. And then that made me realize, well, maybe I should have a dip buy level if it happens again. And I think that is really when I started to recognize that I think the bottom's in. And I think that, that was the bottom, and that Bitcoin might be ripping faces off pretty soon. And so I'm actually probably not going to be doing any more dip buys for Bitcoin or Ethereum. I'm just going to do the normal daily DCAs. But doing this, having these dip buys in mind is what got me thinking about Coinbase and the USDC 4.1% APY. So I am happy about this, but I don't think that I will be able to get any Bitcoin sub 100,000. I don't even think it's going to be going to sub 110,000. I actually had a text exchange with a friend this week just saying, on Tuesday actually, that I think that, this is going to be the last week that we have 110,000, sub 110,000 Bitcoin, and that might actually be the case. I also don't think that I will be getting this dip buy filled at 2,100. So I am just going to be a little more passive with crypto moving forward, and just kind of focus, or back to focusing more on accumulating that savings and just balancing out the debt and whatever and stuff. So I think that's actually a great thing. I think it's good to be less aggressive as we start to move higher. And with, the note of being less aggressive, I was actually fairly not so aggressive with RLC at the beginning of the week. It did dip down to, I believe, 86 cents. But then when I was looking at it, it was around 89 or 90 cents. And so I was thinking, oh, well, I'll just wait for it to actually be at 88 cents. Days go by, that's not happening. And then I believe on Thursday, I recognized this is probably going to be above $1 pretty soon. So I should just get, $100 more in dip buy. And I did do that to bring my average down. So I feel good about that. Ondo, I did not dip buy. That's one that's, pretty high up on the list. It's a pretty new, one to, in the market and to my understanding and whatnot. And so, I didn't dip buy, but maybe I will want to if I'm thinking it's going to be going above $1, although my average is 88 cents. So I probably don't want to add unless it's below 88 cents. So maybe that's a level that I'll want to keep in mind, but we'll have to explore the chart in a minute. And then a couple that I did trim One of them, I feel very good about this because it has since pulled back, at least as far as I understand, and that is XRP. I didn't trim a lot, but I did trim basically what I had in my Robinhood account. So I do store the XRP on my Trezor hardware wallets, but I do stack in Robinhood. And so I basically just sold, and you can't see it because I'm in the way, but it does say Robinhood there. And yeah, actually you can't see Trezor behind me as well either. So maybe I should scroll up to talk about these so you can see them. But yeah, XRP, I have the majority of it sort of my Trezor, but I just trimmed what I had accumulated in Robinhood at a price of $2.95. So I feel pretty good about that, but we will explore the chart in a minute. And then actually for both of these, but especially with XLM, I had a good amount stored on my hardware wallet, which is actually via Stellar Lumen's website. So it's kind of a little bit more cumbersome to get access to that. But then whatever I had that I was accumulating on Robinhood, and I was actually dollar cost averaging last week, dollar dip buys, which I canceled on Friday, or paused on Friday because it's now above my average. But my average based on my Trezor account and my Robinhood account put my average at 35 cents, but my average on the Trezor was actually around, I think, 50 cents, something like that. So when I sold on Robinhood, it actually didn't bring my average down. So I maybe did a little bit of financial engineering. While I didn't move or merge my two accounts, I just did the math based on, if I had merged them. So I effectively broke even on my XLM because my trim position or trim level was at 35 cents. So that's not really that exciting, but it did move it down on the risk list to be actually below LRC, believe it or not. And so now I can more aggressively add if it does go below my average. And so the $1 DCA from Friday that I paused, I now have a limit dip buy placed at 35 cents. But I'll get into all of that as I do go down the list. Just wanted to give a little bit of an intro there so you guys can kind of understand where I'm coming from. This is really just documenting what I am doing. I have no idea if what I'm doing is going to work out, but I think I forgot to mention it, but my thesis is effectively based on Ethereum getting up to around $8,000 by the end of the year. So that is kind of what I'm expecting, and so I'm just kind of planning on stacking these, the ones that I have more conviction in over the course of the year, but then trimming the ones that are maybe I have too much exposure to or I just have less conviction in as I do go into the green. So we will explore that, and I'll just kind of, develop that, evolve that thesis as this moves along. But anyways, let's begin first with Bitcoin. This is the king of crypto. And let's see, ticker symbol BTC, as we all know. And now I am just going to pull up CoinMarketCap so I can copy that market cap data. And if you're wondering, the reason why I am doing this, I don't really use it too much over here, is because maybe I would plan to, chart this out to see how it evolved over time or evolves over time. I just haven't really done that yet, but it does look like market cap has gone up $2.3 billion versus where it was at last week, around 2.15. Not too surprising. Bitcoin did hit new all-time highs. So yeah, I am not surprised at all by that. And then if we look over at the chart here for Bitcoin, let's just see, I'm just going to make sure my axis is regular. And let's see, there we go, just get that right. And so we can see that for the close on Friday, July 11th, the Bitcoin price closed at 117,582.16. So 117,582.16. And so from there we can see that for my position, for my average, which is actually on two different Trezor wallets. So I am kind of, averaging those together, but my average is, sub $90,000. I'm up about 32% now. So that's definitely better than savings, feeling pretty good about that. But one thing that, I'm not going to be doing, at least not until I'm doing a little bit better with keeping up on that savings, is I am going to delete the dip buy there. And so I will just be doing $40 daily DCAs, which I don't plan on selling. I effectively want that to be retirement. But part of the reason why I'm doing larger daily dip buys, larger daily DCAs for Bitcoin than Ethereum is because I may end up selling some of it so I can basically leave my job 6 months from now, something like that. It's kind of the dream, but ideally I won't do that. Ideally, I will hold all of that Bitcoin. But yeah, let's look over at the chart just to see kind of, what we're looking at with this. And so I had drawn this parallel channel that Bitcoin had been bouncing in. And when we got that dip here, that was a really nice opportunity to dip by around 100,000. And so while I wish I would have dip bought at 99,000 rather than 101,000. I'm glad I did dip buy. I could have dip bought more aggressively, but it is what it is. And we are not getting this doodle pullback over here. That is fine. That was based on this green horizontal line, the low from June 5th. At around $100,377.01. We tested that here. We pierced the, 100% extension as drawn from the top here down to the bottom here and then up to here, just extended over a little bit. We can see that was a very nice dip buy opportunity at around $99,000. So feeling very good about that. So a lot, confluence of levels down here for dip buys, and this didn't happen, so I'm going to delete that to just kind of omit the clutter. But we are actually getting up to levels that I had previously highlighted as being some potential resistance. As we can see, the orange line here acted as resistance. Now we are above the red line here, currently trading around, I believe 117,389. Is that where it's at? Something like that. Yeah, I don't have the dashed line going across, but I do have the number over there. And yeah, that could be pulling back. Let's see, maybe I want to doodle this out. This could be pulling back to test that level as support around 115, 116, somewhere around there before then going higher. But yeah, I do think that Bitcoin is going to be going higher. I think that we'll be seeing 120,000, no problem. But I think we should also, kind of be prepared for some possibilities of pullbacks. And, this retracement that I have over here, it's kind of old news. So, oops, I'm actually still in the drawing tool. So I am just going to delete that because I don't think we need the clutter, to be honest. And now I'm just going to do, or maybe do I want to, maybe what I want to do is extend that up. So not going from the high over here, but now basically to the current high. The high yesterday on the 11th was 118,909.74. So I'm just going to line that up kind of approximately. And so that could be suggesting to the 382 that will be coming down to around $102,000, right around where that purple line is. So that is possible. But I also think that, this parallel channel could be acting as some support if we do pull back. So I would not expect it to come down to 102. But if it does, that could be a really nice opportunity. I would think, that it would probably stop before then, but we haven't necessarily put in the top, as I have drawn here, suggesting that I think we're going higher. But I might just do a little Fibonacci retracement here based on the high, the current high, maybe just to suggest a little bit, where we could be going. And so I'm just going to adjust the settings of this to add the 382, and that should be blue is how I have been drawing it, just to match the other ones. And so yeah, the 382 would be coming down to around 111, but I don't necessarily think that's going to be happening. And then, I had done some Fibonacci extensions to the upside. Yes, and so I can adjust this maybe this actually comes down to, right around that low there. So that does look good. And so that would be suggesting Bitcoin going to maybe topping out around 135 or 136,000. That is the 100% retracement there. So I would say that, that is something to be prepared for. That, actually, maybe I'm just going to delete the doodle that I have here and just redraw it to suggest where I think price could be going to. Oops. And so maybe just pull back, test that red line, and then go up there. That arrow tip is not really that nice, but it's better than my hand-drawn arrows. So yeah, but actually maybe I should draw that. Let's see, just expand this, drag this over. Maybe I should draw that a little more, to the downside, maybe to, around 112, getting to there before going up. So, yeah, I mean, that's kind of what I'm thinking for Bitcoin. Maybe 112, 113 would be a nice dip buy for that. And so I should probably then add that to my weeklies list. So next, why do I have 7-Eleven on this? 7-Eleven? Should have been 712. And so, yeah, I don't know why. So let's see, 712. So is next week the 19th? Is that right? Yeah, so I'll make this the 19th. There we go. And so the dip buy level that I'd say for Bitcoin, because this Fibonacci retracement right here suggests 111, but maybe we do go a little bit higher before we get a pullback. Maybe we do find support around this orange trend line that's around 113. Maybe we go a little bit lower than it, but not so close to 112 that an order there would get filled. So I would say that a dip buy level for Bitcoin for an ad level, that will be 113. But I am actually going to color that red because I don't plan to dip buy that unless, I've tackled my savings to balance the debt a little bit better. And, I would just do the normal daily DCA if Bitcoin does dip to 113. And so with that being said, I am going to need to adjust the alerts. So I will do that there. I'm not going to place any orders for dips or anything. And I actually should probably include an emoji for that. So I'll just include that there, which, maybe sometimes this is a little bit wonky. There we go. And so, yep. Not going to do anything there, but I will have at least some alerts, so I will know if Bitcoin dips to 113, I can assess and then pounce if wanted. And then trimming up here, I don't plan to trim. Like I said, Bitcoin, I'm thinking of it like a retirement. So yeah, I think that will be much better than the 99,000 right there. But I will go on to Ethereum in a second. I'm just going to have a sip of coffee. And also I'm going to balance that by a little sip of water too. Got to make sure I stay hydrated. But yeah, let's continue on to the next one on the list, which is going to be Ethereum, ticker symbol ETH. And let's populate that market cap data by coming over here. Ethereum is the number 2 crypto over here, and it's about $350 billion market cap. I suspect that went up. Oh, and I didn't copy it properly. Sometimes the copying, if it changes, the copying doesn't really work. But there we go, got that. And that has gone up from last week, which was, $302 billion. Now it's 353, almost 354. So looking good there. And then pulling up the Ethereum chart. Let's see. Just want to look at what the closing price was for Friday, July 11th. That was 2959.12. 295912. So if we look at that, hey, I'm actually up more on my Ethereum than I am with my Bitcoin. Maybe that's because my DCAs have been a little more aggressive and because I have done more aggressive dip buys with Ethereum. So that could be a factor, but both of them, in the 30s, so feeling pretty good about that. But with Ethereum, just like with Bitcoin, I am not going to be doing a dip buy just because I feel like I'm, spreading myself a little too thin. I need to be a little bit more responsible with that. But yeah, let's take a look at the chart just to see, where I think this could be going. And so now what we can do, this is not, excessively higher, but we did go a little bit higher with this Fibonacci retracement. So I probably won't do a second one. I'm just doing from the bottom over here, which was April 9th for Ethereum. A lot of other cryptos, the bottom was April 7th, I believe. And then we got the top up here. And so the 382 retracement, that would be bringing price down to around $2,400, $2,400. I don't know that it would actually be able to penetrate there because there's all of this consolidation there. So, yeah, actually, I will probably do another Fibonacci retracement that'll probably be adjusting. And I might actually remove this parallel channel just because I kind of like the style that I have for Bitcoin a little bit more, like this with the white, rather than, with Ethereum, that colored one. It just clashes a little too much with the retracements. But we can see that, I did draw this downtrending line. We very clearly broke out from that. It's quite possible we could pull back, retrace to the scene of the crime before going higher, and that will be pulling back to around $2,500. So good to be prepared for that possibility. And we can also, do a Fibonacci retracement here. That would suggest price coming down to that 382. That would be around $2,600 to $2,700. I'd say probably more like $2,700. And so that does give kind of a nice range from around 27 to 24. So with that being said, I'd say, probably, maybe a good idea to split the difference from 24, 27. So that would be like 550 about, or let's say 26. So that's potentially where I could see Ethereum dipping down to, and that does correspond with the 50% retracement there at 2580. And so just coming over here to the weeklies, I am going to, I said 2600, and I will need to adjust that alert. And just like with Bitcoin, I don't plan on placing any orders with Ethereum, even, with its the trim level, which we're going to have to see if I want to adjust that based on the Fibonacci retracement that I have drawn over here. So from this, we can see that this Fibonacci extension is based on the low over here from April 9th up to this high and then pulling back to this low. So we are starting to make our way up to those levels. The 786 is around 3,300 or just below 3,300. And then the 100% extension. So you can just, get that level, whether you're doing a Fibonacci extension or just drawing a line like this. And I'm just going to do it straight up, but you can see the cursor is to over here, that high there. And so we can just take that, drop that over here, corresponding with the low that was hit on June 22nd. And that does bring us up to, that 100% extension. So that's what those Fibonacci extensions are based on, if you're curious about that. And so we are basically following the doodle that I have drawn out there. We will see if that does play out. But yeah, I don't think that I need to adjust that 3,600 as a trim level because I do think that that could be a pretty notable one. So yeah, I'm just going to leave that alone. These I do need to adjust. And, I should maybe change this from add to dip. Like, do I want to add? I don't know. But I do think it could dip to those levels. Add is a little too assertive. Dip is, not. Trim, dip. Yep, I mean, that would be a trim level. That would be something I want to consider, but maybe I'd want to do something like that. So I'm not too, not too aggressive. Because, you do you, I'm going to do me. And that doesn't necessarily mean buy the dips, but, just be prepared for it. And that's kind of the idea there. And yeah, so I've got that more or less adjusted. We will look at Doge in just a minute. I'm just going to have another sip of this. And so, yeah, let's now look at Dogecoin, ticker symbol DOGE, as I'm sure we all know. This one, I actually did move some Doge around last week because Robinhood had kind of this thing where if you deposit crypto into your Robinhood account, you get, I think, 2% instant cash. And so I did that, but then I read the fine print that said that you need to store that amount of money in Robinhood for a year. And it's like, well, I don't want to store my Doge on Robinhood for a year. Fortunately, I am a bag holder of AMC, which does cover the amount that I had transferred in with Doge. So I'm fine with that. I did transfer my Doge out of Robinhood, and I had previously only had it on one hardware wallet. Now I've got it split between the two, and I do have a remainder sitting in Robinhood so I can trim. So, I will want to kind of consider trim levels with Doge if it does continue to go higher. And I might also implement a new strategy with Doge because it's so high up on the list, just to trim out on a weekly basis if I'm not adding, because I don't want to be raising my average. I might trim out. So I will go over that in a minute, but let's first look over here. Doge is ranked as number 8 in CoinMarketCap, around $29 billion. So let me just copy that and paste that over here. I'm imagining this went up over the past week. And the week before it was around 24 billion. Now it's around 29 billion. And then we could come over here to the Ethereum chart. And I'm just going to type in Doge. And usually I look at them, the cryptos on Coinbase, but there's not as much history with Doge on Coinbase. There is more history on Binance, but I want to look at actually the data with the US dollar just to be consistent throughout the weeks. And so from this, we can look at yesterday's closing price. Kind of looks like it put in a top there. It topped out around 21 cents, corresponding with that 382. So that's pretty interesting. But the closing price from July 11th was 2010. So let's type that in here. 2010. There we go. And, it looks like I'm up about 15%. I had been negative the past few weeks, so it's nice to see that. And, so the thing that I was thinking about with Doge, because I do want to add more to it, but also maybe it doesn't go to $1 and, maybe it tops out, at the trim level that I currently have up there, which is 27 cents. I will look at that in a minute. But what I think I might want to do is trim out every week that I'm in the green on Doge, just to be managing that risk. And so that's going to be nothing too exciting. If I'm up about 15% right now, that's nice. That's better than savings, but that's really not too exciting when, I could be getting like a multi-bagger trade on Doge. If it does go up to $1, that's more than a 5x. Maybe that's close to a 6x. I'm not even sure. Mental math struggle with that. Maybe I could just pull up the calculator here and we can see what's, $1 divided by my average, which is 17.4 cents. And that's nearly a 6-bagger. So yeah, I'd be happy with that, but at the same time, maybe it doesn't go up there. And so I think a good way to kind of manage risk is, rather than buying $1 every day, dollar cost averaging $1 every day, which I do tend to do for a lot of these, maybe what I could do is not necessarily trim out $1 every day that I'm green, because you can't do dollar cost average exiting. At least I don't think you can. And so what I might do every weekend is just sell, $7 worth of Doge. And then if it does dip below my average, then I can just, more aggressively dip buy and feel comfortable about that. And then also kind of recycling my crypto cash so I don't have to be depositing so much into my account. So that's something I'm just going to note here, because I don't think I'm going to put it. Actually, well, maybe I do want to note this. Yeah, I should probably just note it that I would do $7. Oops. Hopefully that's $7 trim out each week, which is denoted as red. Maybe I want to adjust the format of that so it does include the negative sign. I think that's probably a better look for it. And so, yeah, I need to place that, so I will make it yellow. And that's probably, I'll just do like a trim out at a limit price of 20 cents, something like that. Or maybe I just go, like if I'm still above 15 or right around 15, above 10%, maybe I would just trim out there. And then, I'm making effectively about 70 cents on that, whatever that would be, or 60 cents, something like that, 60 to 70 cents. So not a lot of money, but it's some money. But yeah, that's probably really boring. I'm sure people aren't that interested in that, but that's just a way to like manage risk. And Doge is number 3 here, when I think that there are some others that could potentially should be higher up on the list. But yeah, let's look at the chart. I haven't really looked at the chart much for Doge, and very interesting though. Very interesting to see this get rejected around 21 cents, because that is the 382, although that is a Fibonacci retracement. So that would be suggesting, where the bottom could be, not a level to the top side. And so, what I'd probably, anyways, I think that's probably fine. But yeah, we did dip down to the 786 around 1581, just below 16 cents. So that was a really nice dip buy levels there. And it does look like Doge from that level is up around 33%. So pretty nice there. Where could it be pulling back to, though? If the top is in there, so I'm just going to do another Fibonacci retracement, but from the low over here up to that high that we hit yesterday. And from that, the 786 still right around 16 cents. But then we do have the 382 around 1870 or around 19 cents. So I think that Doge could be pulling down to 19. But my ad level, this is going to be arbitrary. This is going to be based on me. Isn't going to be until it gets down to around 17.4, because that is my average. Let's see. I did have the dip buy level there, or the ad level. I'm going to say the dip level at around 15 cents. And that didn't get hit. 16 approximately was the low. Let's see. Well, what was the low over here on June 22nd? The low was 14.30. So yeah, 15 cents was, a nice dip level, but I think that's behind us. So I would say the next dip level is going to be like 19 cents, then maybe 18. But for me, I would want to wait for the dip of around, I want to go to weeklies, of around, 17.4. And so if I do trim out of, my position, $7 on a weekly basis, then I could just buy back that $7 worth at, 17.4. So, again, while it's not like super exciting or anything, that it's just a way to trim a little bit, manage risk, and then I can more aggressively dip buy if it does go back below or to my average. So there's that. I will need to adjust the alerts, and I will need to place some orders. So I'm just going to do it yellow so I'm not messing with the check marks or whatever. And then, yeah, let's look at the trim level and this, I do need to place that order, so I'm going to make that yellow. But then the trim level, 27 cents. I'm just trying to think about, how much of my Doge would I trim, to place a limit sell order or something. Maybe just to do like, $7. Again, not too exciting, but that is something to, take advantage of. If we do get up to there. So like 27, that is going to be based on the low here on April 7th. Like I said, when I was talking about Ethereum, the lows for a lot of cryptos were hit on April 7th, whereas Ethereum was hit on April 9th. Then from there to the top here, and then down to this low, just extend it over a little bit, and I might extend that a little bit more into the future, so around 27 cents. So yeah, I'm going to leave that the same, and just kind of need to think about how much do I want to trim out there. Maybe if I do, I don't know, I got to think about that. If I do 100 Doge, that's, $2.70. So maybe that's, a number to work with. But I would want to just have a limit order placed, because just like with these, I had limit orders placed and they were filled when I was at work. I was not paying attention. So yeah, I will probably just do that. Oh, and then trim. Yeah, I'm going to have to adjust that level. And yep, and then I'll say dip, and then maybe I'll do buy in question mark. So, it's nothing certain, not trying to be too assertive with that. And then maybe, and this would actually save some space when I do copy and paste this over into here. Like, why is that so big? It doesn't need to be so big. Kind of an idiot. But yeah, so that hopefully useful. And yeah, then we'll go on to the next one, which is, one that I feel pretty stupid. It's so high up on this list. Part of the reason why it's so high up on the list is because I want to get my average down so I can then trim and then move it down to the list. But when I do trim, I want to make sure I'm taking a little bit of profit. So yeah, we're going to have to kind of think about that, assess that. But I'm also very curious. This has been down like more than 50% for a while. I'm now less than 50% down, I believe. So we'll have to look at that. But anyways, next one on the list is going to be ticker or iExec, ticker symbol RLC. So let's look at the market cap for that one, which, spoiler alert, it's going to be at the very bottom. RLC is ranked number 426, around $75 million market cap. So pretty puny. All these I divide by 1 million, so that's just going to look like $75. Did go up last week, though. The market cap was 64 million, so feeling, happy that it's going up. And if we do come back over to the chart, we can look at the RLC chart, US dollar here on Coinbase. And let's see, what was its closing price from yesterday on July 11th? The closing price was $1.0306. So 103.06. And that's up above $1. Let's see, is it still trading above $1? Yeah, around 102. Maybe putting in a topping signal, though. Big wicks to the upside, but maybe it's just pausing before it continues. Looks like I'm down about 41% after having added $100 over the past week. So, yeah, and I did add, while not at my dip level, which was, let's see, 88 cents. I think I did 98 cents. That kind of sucks. But I'm still getting my average down. Last week, my average was 183. Now it's 176. So I'm getting pretty close there to trim and then just move this down to list to manage that risk. Yeah, because at this point, because it's so high up on the list, I'm a little bit concerned it could go to zero. It never, gets up to these levels. I think it will. I feel like it will, but maybe it doesn't. And so, I just need to manage that risk. Everybody's different, and being number 4 on this list, it's too high up for me, for my risk preference. But yeah, anyways, with this rambling, I should also do, a dip buy. I should place another $100 order, and that is via Coinbase. That's the reason why it's $100, because there's fees with it that I don't like, and so $100 makes it a little bit easier. But yeah, let's consider, where this could be pulling back to, where it could be going to. And so RLC over here got this Fibonacci retracement, which, we did, kind of pull back to based on the high over here, pull back to that 382. But maybe, I just want to extend that up to the high so far for today, July 12th, was 107.15, it looks like. And that 302 looks like it would be pulling back to around 95.5 cents, or let's just round up to 96 cents. And so I think 96 cents is probably going to be the nice dip buy level for RLC. So I will say 96 cents. That is when I need to make yellow to place an order there. And so I'm just going to do this. It's yellow because I haven't placed it yet, but I need to place an order. And so that's what the check mark is there. But what's the trim level? 186. That was previously, I believe, just above my average. Now it's 10 cents above my average. But could it be going higher? And why did I pick 186? I think that just corresponds with this nice little red line that I've drawn there around 186, corresponding with the tops over here. And, there was a lot of consolidation right below 186, really following this bounce here. The low of June 18th of 2024 was 192, about 191.75. And so just below that 186, when we were putting in these tops here, and then tested that level a few times, breaking below it, but short term, and then, breaking below it, getting rejected. So I think 186 is going to be an important level, rather than getting like too greedy and thinking about these fib extensions, which, is still valid. It's going from the low that was hit on August 5th of 2024 up to the high hit on December 6th. And then down to that low, I'm guessing, hit on, actually June 22nd. So a little bit after the lows of April, which were actually over here. So yeah, this is a little bit risky. But actually a few weeks ago, I had kind of suggested that this looked like, hey, it's bottoming, and now we see the volume starting to come back. So yeah, I think that was good, to be accumulating here. And so I was doing that. So I'm proud of myself there. And so, yeah, the levels to the upside corresponding with that would be like 229, 230, or 270. So 229 or 230, that would be around the 786 extension. The 100% extension would be around 270 or 271. And so, yeah, I could be getting some pretty nice returns on this. But if it does get up to 186, maybe I don't want to trim all of my position. Maybe I just want to do half. I don't know. But I could, trim more so at 186, and then I can leave the remaining half or whatever fraction to trim, take some more profits at 230, and then maybe sell it all at 270, or, sell it all, but a small portion of it, maybe 10%, to see, hey, maybe we get back up to $10. Who knows? So yeah, my trim level, though, I am going to leave that the same, which is over here, 186. I think that is good, so I'm not going to change that one. So I'll leave that alone. And now we can continue on to the next one. I'm just going to have another sip of coffee. Been going on for about 50 minutes. maybe about 40 minutes more for me to zip through the rest of them on the list here. But the next one on the list is going to be Ethereum Classic, ticker symbol ETC. And let's look over at the market cap. I believe it's going to be ranked number 37. 37. It's ranked number 37. How did I know? It's going to be about $2.7 billion market cap. If I can copy that in time to paste it over. And, okay, so that did go up from last week. It was about 2.4, just under $2.5 billion market cap. Now it's around 2.7. And then if we check the closing price from Friday over here, we can see that, again, it looks like maybe putting in a little bit of a top there, a little bit concerning, but that is from July 11th. The closing price was $18.26. So it's up, but I'm down about 16% on that. Last week, I was down more than 24%. So what I'm probably going to do is I'm going to make this orange because maybe I don't want to continue to do that. So I'll have to consider it. Maybe I think this orange is Bitcoin orange, so I might make it Bitcoin orange. Yeah, so I'm going to have to think about that, see what the other ones are, because I want to be adding to the ones I'm most negative on, and Ethereum Classic might be that. But then it looks like the add or the dip level is or was $15 for Ethereum Classic. Let's see, that was kind of based on the low over here. So from that Fibonacci retracement that goes up to the high here. That was based on the 786 effectively, which was tested on June 22nd. That low is 1449, then going up a little bit higher. And so, yeah, I mean, since we did bounce from that, I could see us pulling back to around 17 cents. So, yeah, I mean, that actually makes a lot of sense to me. I could maybe do another Fibonacci retracement just from this low, being approximate, up to the high there. And yeah, I mean, the 382 that's in blue there, 17.21, so right around 17 cents. So I'd probably say at this point, the dip for Ethereum Classic is going to be, what am I looking at? The weeklies is 17 cents, and that $17. And that is, again, one that I don't plan on buying. But maybe if I don't do daily dollar cost averages with this, then, maybe I would just place, a limit dip buy order at $17 and just be done with it there. And let's see. And then the trim level I have at $22. What's that going to be based on? So that is based on, Fibonacci extension going from the low here hit on April 7th up to the high hit on May 13th, and then pulling back to that low from June 22nd. But I'm actually just going to extend that over a little bit. So we have, a little bit more of that orange up top. And I am also going to adjust that so it's on the right-hand side just so we can see it a little bit cleaner. $22.75. So yeah, I mean, I think that $22 is a good trim level. I did adjust, so I need to do that. And if I don't dip by this, which I need to think about, I got too much yellow here, but that's because I need to adjust the alert to 17. But then I also need to adjust my order to trim at 22, which would not be a massive trim, really just the remainder that I have in Robinhood, I believe. But yeah, 22, I think that looks good for this. So really not too much to go on with that, but yeah, pull back to 17 could be nice. And then the next one on the list, the one that I was scared to dip by last week, is going to be Ondo, ticker symbol ONDO. Let's check out the market cap for Ondo, which I'm guessing is going to be 38. 38, how did I know? It's because it's similar to Ethereum Classic. I remember those two. But $2.7 billion market cap. And I'm imagining that went up over the past week. So last week it was 2.4. Basically it's very similar to Ethereum Classic. And now let's check out the price for Ondo. That is going to be Ondo, let's see, for US dollars on Coinbase. And so the closing price yesterday for July 11th was 88,469. So 88,469 did go up. Looks like I'm up about 1%, so that's pretty exciting. Or maybe that's exciting, I'm not really sure. But that does get me thinking, I should have dip bought last week. It just didn't come down to my level, 75 cents. So, I think I need to adjust that. Then I need to kind of reconsider what are the, dip buy levels that I want to be thinking about for Ondo. And so, from this, got this Fibonacci retracement here going up to that high. And we actually did break to a lower low. So this is probably not really that valid anymore. So I'll probably just extend this over to that point. And yeah, to be honest, that's really just not valid anymore. So I'm not going to do anything there. What I might do is a Fibonacci retracement, but from the top side to the bottom side to get an idea of, where this could be going on its way back up. It looks like the 618 around 94 cents. We did effectively get rejected from that yesterday. On the 11th, we hit a high of 93.814 cents, corresponding very nicely with that 618. And, where could I see this pulling back to? I could see it pulling back to around 82 cents. So the 382 here, that blue line, is around 81.662 cents. So I think maybe, fill around 82 would be possible. And so if this does pull back to 82 cents, currently it's around 86, sub 86, 85.6. So 82, that would be the level to add in my opinion. And I would need to be more aggressive with that because I wasn't last week. But then now what's the trim level? I still think probably like 109 because that's based on this Fibonacci extension from the low here to the high down to that low. Since it did put in a lower low, that's not going to be as high as the high over here. That would be at 109. So I still think that's good. And so I don't need to adjust that. And yeah, but I probably should have been a little bit more aggressive with that. But, it's also like managing the cash on the sides. You've got to do that. I've got to do that. And so I'm glad I've had some discipline. I've been able to get my RLC average down. When I'm able to trim that, taking some profits, then I'll feel better about my discipline with Ondo. But, that's how it goes. So, yeah, still, $100 dip buy. Do have the cash in Coinbase, so I can do that easily if I want to. But yeah, let's go on to the next one on the list, which is going to be Litecoin, ticker symbol LTC. Let's check out the market cap for this one. Don't have this one memorized. That's ranked 22, around $6.9 billion market cap. This stops changing. I can copy it and paste it over to here. Hopefully that, yep, there we go. And so that went up last week. The market cap was 6.5, just below 6.6 billion dollars, and now it's around 6.9. And so we can check out the closing price from yesterday for Litecoin, and that's going to be US dollar right here on Coinbase. It does look like maybe a little bit of topping signal. July 11th, the closing price was 94.30. And so that's up. I'm down about 5%. I think that's a little, too close for me to want to be adding. So I'm just going to sit on the sidelines for that one. And then, yeah, we'll have to check out the dip buy levels of 73 And then 119 is a trim level, so we'll have to check out the chart. Do I still think that? So $73, that corresponded with the 786 here, which, I mean, we bounced from the 618, so I don't think that we're getting down to 73. I think that, it's kind of been making its way up. And maybe for this, I do want to add the 382, just make that blue. So it matches the other ones. So 90, I mean, I think that 85 is probably the add level for Litecoin at this point. Don't plan on buying that, but do need to put this here and do need to adjust the alerts. And then 119, as that's still the trim level. So that's going to be based on this Fibonacci extension here. And yeah, I mean, low to the high, back to this low, still the same 119, also kind of corresponding with this trend line that I have drawn there, confluence of levels. So 119, 120 could be some substantial resistance. And so I think that is still a very good, trim level. And orders, yeah, I mean, I need to make all of these orders yellow because I need to place the trim levels. So yeah, there's that. Not too exciting. And but yeah, not going to be dip buying that because I'm not even close to down 20% on that one. But yeah, the next one on the list is going to be Solana, ticker symbol SOL. Let's check out the market cap for this. I believe it's going to be number 6 right there. $85 billion market cap. Oh no, just shy of 85 billion. But I will copy that, paste it over here. And just shy of 85 billion last week. Solana was around 78 billion, so it's gone up quite a lot. And let's check out the price now. So SOL. I want that US dollar on Coinbase. And so we can see the closing price from the 11th was 162.97. So 162.97. Up a little bit. Looks like I'm up about 10% on that position. So feeling good about that. Feeling fine about it. Not going to be, adding to that because I don't want to be increasing my average. But, where might I want to increase my average at? Previously, I had the dip level at 120. So let's see if that's still valid. So 120 would have been, basically getting near the 786 at around 115. So 120 be right around here where the cursor is. That didn't happen, and we did bounce from the 618. So I could see the next level that we do pull back to bounce from will be around the 50% retracement, which is around 141. And yeah, so maybe 141 is a level to consider. Or 142.69. I think 142.69 because we got it. Well, no, 142.69, no, because it should be 142.69, and we can't do that. So what I might do for Solana is 142. I'm just going to do 142. I think that's fine. Don't necessarily plan on buying that. But if I don't have many that are down around 20%, then maybe I would place some, dip buys on some of those that I like. And then the trim level, 217, that is going to be based on this Fibonacci extension up here, going from, the low hit on April 7th up to the high May 23rd and down to the low June 22nd. And, also does look pretty nice. This trend line kind of, consolidating along a trend line there. Maybe I want to extend this over, and I should probably make that line, let's see, red because I think it seems like it's probably a resistance. We might be getting a pullback to, like I said, around 142, then going up to 217. So I like that. I think that this is nice. So I feel good about that. And I don't think that, I mean, all of these trim levels I need to adjust all of them. So, yep, and then that, I need to consider it. I need to consider it. By the end of the video, I'll go over all of these and kind of decide which dips I might buy. And it would probably just be a $7 buy, you know, dip for the week, daily dollar cost average, or a dip buy of $7 at one time. So yeah, there's that. And the next one on the list is going to be Cardano, ticker symbol ADA. And let's check out the coin market cap. Is this going to be number 10? It's usually 10. So this is good for my memory. I do not look at these numbers only when I'm making these videos or preparing to make these videos. So maybe I cheated a little bit. But it did go up just shy of, you know, well, I should just say 24 billion. I was going to say just shy of 25 billion, but nah, it's 24 billion. And so last week it was just above 20 billion, so gone up notably. And let's check out what the price is for Cardano. And there's actually a really nice clip that I saw of Charles Hoskinson talking about Elon and all the businesses that he's having, and like how the Boring Company, you know, all of them, it really just kind of makes sense, because it's like, for going to Mars, you'll want to bore tunnels, live underground on Mars, especially if there's water underneath the surface, things like that. And, you know, the robots, all this stuff. It's just like he's doing all of these businesses. And Charles Hoskinson really had a very clear understanding of how much that makes sense, and he explains it very well. Very cool. I reposted it on X if you want to check that out if you're curious, but kind of just how I drew this with Solana. I'm going to have to adjust this line to be red. But yeah, kind of bumping into a little bit of resistance there. Where could the pullback be? What did I have for card? Dang it. I need to get the closing price first. I'm getting ahead of myself. So the closing price on July 11th was 70.93 cents. So 70.93 cents. But anyways, I just think that, you know, Charles Hoskinson is a, you know, very smart guy. But at the same time, maybe that's, you know, not as, you know, sexy of a coin because of that, even though it's a very good performing one. So my average just so happens to be around 69 cents. I'm up about 3%, it looks like, so feeling good about that. Not going to be trimming at breaking even, because my trim level is going to be a little bit higher. We'll have to explore that in a minute. But let's first explore the dip buy level. I had it at 52. And so let's check over here to where I think that could be coming back to. And so from this Fibonacci retracement, actually, I'm going to add that, you know, infamous 382, make that blue. And yep, looks like we're getting rejected from there. So that's pretty interesting. And then a pullback, I could see it coming down to around 65 cents. You know, the yellow line here, it's a 618. Although, you know, I'd probably want to do a different Fibonacci retracement to kind of encapsulate the recent move up. And so coming back to like 65 cents, that's a 50% retracement. So yeah, 65 cents. I think that's a good dip buy level for Cardano, but I don't necessarily plan on dip buying it. Let's see, trim level. I guess I had it at 86 cents. That's going to be corresponding with the top over here, but also that's going to be a Fibonacci extension effectively, because we had this double bottom here. So that 100% extension is effectively just, you know, the top over here at 86 cents. So, you know, I'm just going to leave that alone. I think that's fine. I will need to adjust the alerts though, because I did adjust that dip buy, potential buy level there. And yeah, so might be some more opportunities to add in the short term. But then looking over at the next one, on the list, that is going to be Aave, ticker symbol AAVE. This one was a nice performer, I believe, or it has been over the past month or so. Let's see the market cap for Aave. Let's come over here. Aave is going to be ranked number 29, just behind Ed. You can see just above his head now, 29 is Aave, $4.4 billion market cap. Just going to copy that over here. And so last week, the market cap was around $4.4 billion, $4 billion. And now it's 4.4, almost 4.5 billion. And so going up about 10% there. And now let's check out the price for Aave. Coming down, looking at US dollar, but on Coinbase. So looking at this one, and that closing price from yesterday, the 11th, was 297.54. So 297.54. Looks like I'm up about 10% on it, so feeling pretty good about that. What's my trim level, though? 380. Maybe that's a little greedy. I don't know, because if I trim now, take 10% profit, and then, but I don't really have that big of a position, whereas like with Doge, I've got a pretty big position, so that's why I do something like that. And so, yeah, let's think about this. What am I thinking about? Aave, the dip buy level that I had was 195. Wait a second. Yep, 195. That was like 195. That reminds me of something else. I was thinking that 295 from down here. But yeah, 195 for Aave. And so that 195, that was based on the 618 here in yellow, which we did not get to. We haven't put in a higher high, so I don't have to adjust that retracement. But yeah, I mean, I would say that 244, which is a 382, is probably the new dip. Assuming that this is putting in higher lows, comes down 244. So I'm going to say that for Aave, it's probably around 244 now. So I'm going to want to put that there. I need to adjust the alerts. What's the trim level, though? Is it still 380? Probably 380. Yeah, I mean, that's also not only the 786, so it's not the 100% extension, but that also corresponds with, the tops over here. And, that's pretty still, high above where we're at. So 380. Yep. And with all of these, I mean, I need to make all of these yellow for the trims. I might not adjust the alerts, but I need to adjust the trims. And so Aave, yeah, 380 right there. Coming back to this, not going to be adding to it because I'm in the green with it. So maybe if we move further down the list with these, I might be adding to some of them. So let's take a look at the next one on the list. That's going to be Chainlink, ticker symbol LINK. And the market cap for Chainlink, ranked number 14, is going to be around 10 billion. So just copying that over. And so last week, the market cap for Chainlink was around 8.8 billion. Now it's around 10 billion, so going up there. And then also checking out the chart for Link, US dollar on Coinbase. The closing price for yesterday, on July 11th, was 15,288. So 15,288. And so down 18%. So yeah, this is probably one that I will want to do a daily dollar cost average on. So that's fine for me to keep that there, I imagine. But let's also consider, the dip buy levels and the trim levels. So I had for Link at $12 last week, and that $12 likely corresponded with this 786, the red line here, which, still higher lows, so it's still valid. We did test, fake out break below that 786, below $12. But now having consolidated above the 618, I feel like pulling back to the 618 around 13 might be as low as it'd go. Maybe it'd pull back to 14 and not get to 13, but I don't need to aggressively add. And let's just think, Going to up that to 13. Don't necessarily plan on dip buying that. And then 19 to the upside. That is going to be based on right around this 100% extension, going from the low here to the high, down to this low, or just shy of 19, but I'm just going to leave it at 19. And the other thing, I was just thinking about this. I need to add the 382 to this Fibonacci retracement just to see if that acted as resistance, and currently below it, but we did get a couple closes above it, and that was around just about $15. So now pulling back, and we'll see if it gets down to 13. But yeah, I'm gonna have to adjust the trims and all of that and stuff. So good to consider there. And now we are going to move on to the next one on the list, which is going to be Pepe, ticker symbol PEPE. And let's check out the market cap for Pepe, ranked number 27. It's around $5 billion market cap. Let's copy that over here. Did go up from last week when Pepe was around $4 billion. So that's about a 25% increase. So that's pretty massive. It's possible that, I'm not going to want to be, daily dollar cost averaging this one if it's gone up so much. But yeah, we'll have to check out the closing price over here for Pepe. And that's going to be US dollar on Coinbase. And the closing price for yesterday on the 11th was 401236. So 1234, 1236. And so I'm down 20%. So I think that still justifies doing the daily dollar cost average. So I'm fine with that. Looks like my average is now around 4 zeros and a 1.5. Down 15% though. And yeah, so let's see. I'm going to need to think about the dip buy level, which is 5 zeros and a 9, and then 4 zeros and a 1.9 as the trim level. But we'll have to, reassess that. I need to make these yellow. I just need to basically make all of them yellow. The ones that I can trade in Robinhood. And Pepe, you can still, so I'm just going to scroll up like that so you can see all of them. But yeah, Pepe, 5 zeros and a 9. Do I still think that's possible or feasible? Probably not, because the low over here was, let's see, 5 zeros and an 8.3. And the 618 here, which we did consolidate above, or right around, 5 zeros and a 9.49. So I think that, maybe the top of that would be acting as some support. I am going to add the 382 to this just to see if we're bonking our heads on it right now. It does seem like we are. So, yeah, that's interesting. So maybe a pullback to around 4 zeros and a 1, I think would be the next level to act as. Oops, I didn't want to do that. There we go. 4 zeros and a 1. Wait a second. What did I do? There we go. That's it. That's what I wanted to do. And then I can just adjust that over. And I can't really shrink that. So, yep, I think that's, a dip buy level to consider, but I'm probably not going to dip buy it because I'm probably going to be doing the daily dollar cost averaging. And then thinking about the level to the upside, 4 zeros and a 19. It's going to be based on this Fibonacci extension that you can see. And yeah, so I'm not going to adjust that. I'm going to leave that as is, but I will need to adjust the trim. Don't need to adjust the alert, but I need to adjust the trim. So yeah, so there's that. So we'll move on to the next one over here, which is going to be the official Trump coin, ticker symbol TRUMP. And let's check out the market cap for that one. It's ranked number 48, around 1.8, almost $1.9 billion. Let's get that copied over here. And let's see where the current price is. This one actually didn't perform as well. I was thinking it would last week, but yeah, Trump US dollar on Coinbase. Yeah, this is not looking so great, not looking so hot. But the closing price from yesterday, I should say, was 9.92. It's down 20%, so probably want to leave the daily dollar cost average with that. And yeah, my let's see, dip buy level 9 and the trim level 17. So let's look over here and just kind of consider, where do I think this could be pulling back to? 9, I still think, yeah, 9 seems valid, still seems fine. And so maybe for this one, no, I think just, daily dollar cost average, but maybe coming down to 9. I think that's fine. I'm not adjusting this, so I don't need to adjust the alert there. And I'm not going to be buying, so don't need to adjust that at all. 17, that's going to be corresponding with this Fibonacci extension up here. That's still valid. It's still fine. It's at 1759, just rounding that down a little bit, 17. So that's good. But because I have been adding, I am going to need to adjust the trim that I do. So I'm going to make that yellow. Yep, but probably just going to be doing daily dollar cost averaging with that. And then the next one on the list, hopefully I don't have it in the correct order. Oh, yeah, no, I do have it in the correct order. The next one is Uniswap. And so, yep, let's take a look at the next one. It's going to be Uniswap, ticker symbol UNI. And let's check out the market cap. For Uniswap, it's ranked number 26, around $5.1 billion market cap. Paste that over here. Guessing that went up from last week, which was around $4.3 billion market cap. Did go up to 5.1. So pretty nice there. Let's check out the closing price now from Friday. Uniswap US dollar on Coinbase. And so the closing price from yesterday on the 11th was 8695, so 8.695. Looks like I'm down 15%. So considering that, I should make this one white because I'm down more on my Ethereum Classic than I am on my Uniswap. So I should make this one, place this order rather than this one. So something for me to consider. But yeah, Uniswap, let's see, my dip by levels 650 and then 1035 over here. So let's check out that to see if that's changed at all. I mean, really, we see, this putting in higher lows. And just for fun, I think we blew past it, but I'm going to add that 382. And that's around 711. I had that 650, 660 was this. So yeah, I mean, I feel like this could be pulling back, but maybe it wouldn't be getting to the 50% retracement around 662. Although I do need to adjust this because we did put in a higher high. And so that 50% retracement is 682. But yeah, I mean, like higher lows. So if we're going to be putting in higher lows, maybe it'd only be coming down to like 735. So 735, I would say, is the new dip buy level for that. Going to make that yellow. And then the trim. What's the trim level? 10. Why did I have it 1035? I see it as right here. 10. So yeah, 1035. I don't know what happened there. But yeah, it should just be 10. $10. Is that maybe it was based on some level in the past. What was the high over here? No, I don't know. Maybe the low from over here. Low is 1025. Consolidations around here, over here. I don't know, but just 10. Yeah, 10. I think that's fine, and I'm going to need to adjust that for Uniswap. But yeah, let's see. 735 could be a nice, pullback level. So we'll need to consider that. And yeah, let's see. Avalanche, the next one on the list, that is ticker symbol AVAX. Let's check out the market cap, ranked number 16 at $8.5 billion market cap. Didn't copy it. 8.5. There we go. And so from last week, the market cap for Avalanche was about $5 billion. And then now this week it's around 8.5. So looking pretty good there. Let's check out the chart. Avalanche, market cap, and I want US dollar on Coinbase. Let's check out the closing price from yesterday. Interestingly, this only went up to around the 50% rather than the 382. But this did close yesterday on the 11th at 2068. So 2068, and it looks like I'm down about 8%, so not really enough to warrant dip buys and or daily dollar cost averaging, I should say. And yeah, speaking of dip buys, though, let's check this out. I had it at 16 and 28 for the dips and the trim. Oops, that's not what I wanted to get to. We'll go over that at the end. Yeah, 16 and 28. So 16, where did I have 16? That was really like the low over here from June 22nd. 1654. Didn't get to 16. We've been putting in higher lows. So I don't think 16's on the table anymore. If getting rejected from here, maybe it comes down to around 19. Maybe 18 at best, but I'd say 19. So maybe like 1850. I would say 19. I would say 19 for it. And I don't plan on buying that, but that's the level that kind of stands out to me, just being just below that 618. And maybe, with that being said, maybe I want to do another fib here. Like 19, why 19? 1930 is the 382. 50% is 1860, so split the difference. It's around 19. Kind of how I come to that. And then the level to the upside, I have it at like 27 or 28. 28. That's really just based on this fib extension here. I think it's fine for me to leave at 28, although, what did I just do with Uniswap? 1035, and I adjusted that down to 10. So yeah, you don't want to be greedy. Don't want to be FOMOing in. So this is 27 or 28, but maybe it doesn't get up to 28 as the 100% extension is at 2774. So maybe I do want to lower that down to 27. So I should adjust that. And yeah, so that's something to keep in mind there. And then now going over one of the ones that I trimmed last week, XRP or Ripple, ticker symbol XRP. Let's check out the market cap for XRP, which I believe is 3. Oh yeah, because it's number 3. Oh, okay, I guess Tether is 4. I thought Tether was 3. Was Tether? Tether. It's ranked number 3. Just going to add this to my watch list. I guess. Yeah, okay, XRP is 4. That's right. It's like Tether should be 3. That's weird. But yeah, XRP market cap of $159 billion. That's not going to copy. 159. And so last week, XRP, which was up here at 130, and then now it's 159. So that's a pretty nice move. And the current price for XRP, XRP, US dollar on Coinbase, or not the current price, I should say the closing price for yesterday on the 11th was 27334. 27334. Up 20% on that, so feeling pretty good. This is going to be a white NA. I didn't cancel anything. And since I did trim those, since this is lower on the list, maybe I want to do a dip buy. And so XRP here, dip buy is at 190. My average is at 228. So yeah, maybe I want to do a dip buy order. If it does go down, if it doesn't, that's fine too. And so let's see, 190, 295. Let's check out the weeklies over here. So for this, 190, probably not going to be the same. So I would actually say that, going to need to adjust this Fibonacci retracement, to get that high in there. And then I'm also going to want to add the 382. And that might be my dip level. It's around 245. But what's my average? For XRP, 228. So I don't want to be dip buying unless it gets lower than 228, Don't want to expose myself, overly expose myself to risk. And so, but yeah, if I did trim at 295, I could then add back at 245. So yeah, I think that's kind of reasonable. And then if it does go lower, and actually what I should do, since I only canceled one for $1, just like with, actually I wasn't even buying last week for XRP. And so maybe what I want to do for that is do a $7 dip buy. 228 though. Even if it comes down to 50%, that's still, above my average. It's like 229.49 is the 50% retracement. And so, I could see this coming back to like 245. Maybe I want to pull it back a little bit, maybe 242. Because I think it's being a little bit conservative. Wicks below and then goes. Just like over here, wick below the yellow and then went, even though, it touched exactly the 90% there. But that was actually, that was, wick below the yellow there. So I gotta do it like that. And then there's perfect touch. So yeah, actually, with that being said, maybe I'll just do 245. I think 245 is fine. And that's one that I should place that order. And just do a $7 dip buy. And let's see now where I think this could be going for the trim. Yeah, I guess I'm going to want to extend this. What's the next trim level? That is going to be by adding the 1618 to this. That would be around 360 or 330. So the 1618 is up here around 360, 330 right around there is that yellow line. Maybe I'll just do 329. So that's the new trim level, 329. And I think that this is also a nice example of why it's good to not be greedy. Well, maybe XLM is not the best example of this, but XRP right here is that, I had the limit sell at 295. The high yesterday on the 11th was 297.7. I could have gotten a higher fill, I'm sure, but now it's trading lower at 271. So like that was a good selling right around the top, not the exact top, but looking at this, that looks like it's the exact top basically. So I think it's good. That's a good example why it's not good to be, you don't want to be greedy. So it's like 329. Maybe I'll just do 330. But then that's being a little bit greedy. Maybe it doesn't get filled. Because maybe if I would have done 296, maybe it wouldn't have gotten filled. So yeah, 329, I'm sticking to that. And then 245, I'm going to go over here. Since I did trim last week, that's the justification for it. I will do a $7 dip buy, and that is something that I need to place. And that's going to be increasing my average, but since XRP has moved down the list, I think that's okay. It was at 9 before, and now it's at like 16. So yeah, I think that's fine. And then one that's maybe not so fine, I haven't been dip buying on, is Loopring, ticker symbol LRC. This one actually moved up because XLM moved down below it. But hopefully it does move back down because I do find it to be, one of the riskier ones on the list. And so let's check out the market cap for LRC over here, second from the bottom. And so LRC is ranked 330. It's around $106 million. I'll copy that. Hopefully that works. 107. What was it last week? LRC was 98. So it's definitely moved up above 100 million. So that's good. And then let's check out the price of LRC. I don't want coffee. LRC US dollar on Coinbase. Okay, and so the closing price from yesterday, it's looking totally weak, resistance here. On the 11th, closing price was 7.94 cents. 7.94 cents. Did go up over the past week. I'm down 59%. I haven't been adding to it. And I do have to buy that one via Uphold. I don't think I can get it from Coinbase, and that's maybe, another red flag with that. So I'm not going to risk any more with that one, at least not until after I get my LRC under control. And I think it's kind of odd that those are like palindromes or synandromes or whatever it's called when they're same letters but different orders. Weird. My most sketchy ones happen to use the same letters in their ticker. But anyways, my average is 19 cents, down 59%, down considerably. But let's see, LRC, my dip buy level is 7 cents, or dip consider level is 7 cents, and the add level is 19. So let's just consider that over here with LRC, 7 cents. It's right around here. Yeah, I'm going to leave that alone. I don't need to adjust it. I don't need to touch it. And then 19 cents, that's just my average. That would be a trim level. But I'd probably just get out. Actually, I don't know. I just pay attention to it more closely and then maybe get out, with a little bit of profit. I don't know. But yeah, so not going to adjust those. And then one that's probably more interesting than LRC, the next one on the list is going to be Stellar Lumens, ticker symbol XLM. Let's check out the market cap for them, moving higher up on the list here to ranked number 12 at a market cap of $12 billion. So this is definitely less risky than LRC or RLC, but this happens to be lowest on the list other than Fartcoin, which the only reason why I'm including Fartcoin, I don't hold it, but I nailed the bottom of it. I'm pretty disappointed. I didn't add, but at the same time, it's good to have your limits. And so that, I think, is a nice example for me of like, well, I was feeling a little bit tight that week. I did dip buy a lot of things, but I did not dip buy a new coin to be added to the list. I just added to the ones that I already had. So Stellar Lumens, US dollar on Coinbase. Look at this. Very nice performer. Broke out from this. So, oops, the wrong line. Look at that. Oh my gosh, that's just beautiful. That is beautiful. Wow, I'm in love. All right, anyways, calm down, buddy. The closing price from July 11th was 36,036.0, so that's kind of funny. 036 036? That can't be right. I think it's 0. It's 36,036. So that. Looks like I'm up 3%. Nothing too exciting. If it does dip down to, at least what I have placed now is just a $1 dip buy at 35 cents, but maybe I want to reconsider. I did have 23 cents. I did have 35 cents as that trim level. So let's look over here at that and consider it. Okay, so the dip, this Fibonacci, I'm going to have to draw another one. I could actually draw one from over here. So that's probably what I'm going to want to do. So I'm just going to scrunch this over to that, and then I want to draw a new fib. Going from, I'm not saying that the top is in, but I've got to consider that as a possibility. And so where could this be pulling back to? I think like 32 cents. That's a 50% retracement, also corresponding with the top over here. So that seems pretty legitimate. 32 cents. So I'd say 32 cents is the dip buy level for this. And that's below my average. That's one that I'm going to have to take advantage of the dip if that does happen. So I would probably like XRP to do a $7 dip buy at that level and just kind of set it and forget it. But now let's think about, 35 cents has been hit. Where could the next level be to the upside? And so let's see. I could do that like the way that I'm going to do it because, I could, if I do a Fibonacci retracement to here, from here down, I just have to extend that up, beyond that level. So I should probably just add, the 1618 to this Fibonacci extension. That will be putting price at around 43 cents. And that kind of corresponds with the consolidation over here. See, I could see it, that not necessarily being the exact top, but that could be a level that it gets to. And we could also, maybe this is going to be a little bit wonky, but yeah, I'm thinking about, is there another level around there that could suggest it's the top? So I really just have this drawn, based on that pivot low here, and then that kind of intersecting with the low over here from February 2nd and February 3rd, broke below it, bounced a little bit, but then broke below, got rejected, pulled back more, got rejected again. So that does seem like a pretty important level. And that does kind of coincide with, 43 cents. But maybe I could just do like 45 cents because this did blow past the 35 here. And it's a pretty small position, or it's my smallest position. So maybe I don't want to be super aggressive with my trims. And so maybe 45 cents, is a fine level to trim. So 45, I need to make that yellow because I don't have the order placed. I need to consider that. And then also all of these that, I can't place. I have to move out of my cold storage into the exchange to then sell. So I should leave those yellow. Those, I'm not even worrying about them. So I'm leaving them alone. Yeah, but I for XLM, I need to come back to this. Sorry for the back and forth. I need to come back to this to do, $7 dip buy at 32 cents. So that seems nice. And then Fartcoin, the final one on the list, ticker symbol Fartcoin. It's not a shit coin. It's not even a shart coin. It's a fart coin. The market cap is, let's see, it's down here. It's actually a higher I thought it was a higher market cap than Trump, but I scrolled past it. That's not the icon or whatever, the logo for the Trump coin. It doesn't stand out like Ondo. You can see these pretty clearly, but that one is just, it doesn't really stand out. Fartcoin doesn't either. But yeah, so the market cap is about 1.2 billion. So I'm just going to copy that, paste that over here. And last week the market cap was 1.1 billion, so it actually hasn't gone up that much. Let's see what the current price is. It's going to depress me. Fartcoin is, I think I need to go to Kraken for this, US dollar. The closing price from yesterday, July 11th, was 12867, 1.2867. And, why does this depress me? Because I recognized that, dip by around 80 cents. If we look at the chart over here, I recognize that when it hit a low on Sunday, like the day after I made video a couple weeks ago, the low was 79.31 cents, but then I was looking at it at 84 cents. I could have bought then, but with the spread, let's say, my average would have been 85 cents. I'd be up 51%. I would have only done $100 on it though, so not a big deal. Be up $50. It's not nothing. It's not something. It's not a huge something, but it's not nothing. But it is what it is. I think it's good to, I am not that much of a degen. Good to remind myself of that. And the dip by, it's not a shit coin by definition. It's a fart coin, not even a shart coin. But it's a little too speculative for me. So I'm just going to be disciplined and wait for 80 cents. Although if it were to pull back, this Fibonacci retracement, let's add, because I've been doing it for the other ones, the 382. That would be around 110, maybe $1, splitting the difference between the 382 and the 50%, which is around 92, 93 cents. But yeah, I would wait for 80, and I'm going to be disciplined about that. The trim level, 185. What was the high that was hit yesterday? 139.50. How do I get 185? Probably just like the top over here. I don't know, or yeah, 185, 190. So yeah, I should probably adjust that to 190. And yeah, I'll do that. Oops, 190. But I'm not in it. So that's irrelevant to me. But yeah, that's kind of the list. That's what I'm planning to do. But then now I need to, really just figure out what dip buys. Okay, so I think these are fine. The normal standard DCAs for Bitcoin and Ethereum. For Dogecoin, I think I should trim out $7 just to lower my risks, and then I can have a limit dip buy placed at, my average. So maybe I should write this as negative, let's see, negative $7. And then, plus a $7 dip buy. No. What's going on here? No. I'm just going to put parenthesis in front of it, I guess. There we go. And so, yep, so I'll do a $7 trim and then a $7 dip buy if it dips to my average. If it doesn't, that's fine too. And then, let's see, RLC, maybe I'll add a little bit more. Same with Ondo, maybe I'll add a little bit more. Ethereum Classic, that's one I might want to do dollar cost averaging in. And so, and then also Ethereum up here. So I just don't want to have too many daily dip buys in my Robinhood account just because it's annoying to update. So I have 1 here, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Those are all, I think those are fine. So I'll probably just leave those. The Litecoin down 5%. It's just a little too close for comfort, because then I just have to, if it goes up, then I want to stop doing the daily dip buys. And that's just, don't want to do it. It's also pretty high up on the list. So these, I kind of want to move them up. Whereas Ethereum Classic, I kind of want to move it down. So eventually, get to that trim level, but I'm not there yet. And yeah, these dip buys. So yeah, actually, how many orders am I going to have in Robinhood? So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 daily dollar cost averages. I could also do, Avalanche, but again, that's only down 8%. Litecoin's down 5%. Well, maybe. Sorry, Mike. Maybe Avalanche is one that I should consider to move it up the list a little bit. Because, yeah, Litecoin's already pretty high up here, so I don't need to do that. But yeah, I also don't need to add. I don't need to be aggressive. Maybe what I could do for Avalanche, here's an idea. Is I can consider the dip buy level for Avalanche. So Avalanche is 19. What's the current price for Avalanche? Avalanche on Coinbase. 2050. Yeah, I think that could be pulling back to 19. And so maybe that's one I'd want to do a $7 dip buy at. I think that's fine. I think that's good, actually. And so, do that. And maybe that's also something that I want to do with Litecoin. What's the dip level for that? Okay, so the dip level for Litecoin, 85. And so let's see. 85. Let's just look at the chart, though. Litecoin. 85. Yeah, I think that could happen. Are there other ones that I want to consider dip buying? Cardano's not too far. Cardano. So, yeah, I think that this is actually a good way of doing this. Waiting for the dip. So Cardano, what's the dip level that I have for that? 65 cents. What's my average? 69. Yeah, and then just add more Cardano. I think that's fine. 65 cents. Okay, so I'll make that black. And let's just, make sure that it doesn't look crazy or anything. 65, yeah, I think that's fine. And then, yeah, let's consider these other ones that I got NAs on. I'm just going crazy. Solana, what's the dip buy level for Solana? It's to be 148's my average. For Solana, 142. I might as well do, yeah, just place a dip buy there for, all of these. And then if it dips, great. If not, then it's, not notably below my average enough to be doing daily DCAs. So then I just forget about them. and that's fine too. And yeah, let's look at the Solana chart again, though. Scrolling down to Solana, US dollar, Coinbase. What did I say, 142? I think that's what I said. Yeah, it's corresponding with this 50% retracement. I think that's good. And then Aave up 10%. So that we need to come down a little bit notably. 271 is my average for Aave. 244. Set it and forget it type of deal, you know. And so Aave 244. Let's see. 244. Okay, and then I want to just look at Aave over here. US dollar on Coinbase right here. 244. How did I get to 244? Okay, right there. Yeah, I mean, that could be getting filled. Just add a little bit more to it. And yeah, I mean, so that's pretty much it for my dips, dollar cost averaging, all of the above. Most of the ones that I'm dollar cost averaging, all the ones that I'm dollar cost averaging is just they're in white because I don't have to change anything. So it's just the same as it was last week. The ones that are yellow, I either need to place the orders. And actually, I should probably make these orange because it's like I haven't placed them yet and I might not, you know, I need to evaluate that. But yeah, I mean, I think that this is a good strategy. I like it. And then let's look over at my percent P&L. You can see all of them there. So things that stand out to me, look at RLC. That's, you know, been really bad, but then it's starting to move up because I've been taking advantage of the dip. I recognize that there might be a dip in that. Now I'm down 41%. That's the least I've been down this entire time. So that's looking good. LRC, though, on the other hand, that's just really, you know, fading, not looking so great. We can see now that I do have multiple. Last week, I only had basically two that I was up on, Bitcoin and Ethereum. Now I am also up on what looks like, I think this is XRP. The circle one here is Doge, I guess. And then I also have Solana I'm positive on. And what's that other one? That pink is Aave, pinkish purple. And I got some others that are, you know, right around zero, so not looking too bad. We can just see the numbers over here. Some of them I am pretty far down on, but, you know, it is what it is. They're all, you know, they've moved up the past weeks. So that's good. Hopefully this continues, a couple weeks. And, you know, trimming, managing risk, all of that. And yeah, so that's basically all that I wanted to go over in this week's video. About 2 hours long. I was hoping to go for one, but it is what it is. It's helpful for me. Hopefully it's helpful for you. But, you know, as always, those are just my thoughts. If you did find them helpful, make sure you like the video, share your thoughts in the comments down below, and make sure you subscribe to the channel for more weekly Crypto Corner Sat Stackers every Saturday for the year of 2025. Looking forward to seeing you in the next one. Have a great weekend, and yeah, take care.